President Lai Ching-te delivers the third of 10 unity talks. But as lawmaker recall votes loom, the opposition says the speeches are instead inviting division.
Universal suffrage now! No!
Hong Kong's last active opposition party disbands after nearly 2 decades, the latest casualty in Beijing's efforts to silence pro-democracy voices. Taiwanese indigenous communities work to preserve their area's biodiversity through traditional farming practices. Plus, the Taipei Fine Arts Museum revives memories from the Japanese colonial era through the brushstrokes of a late Taiwanese watercolor artist. Hello and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. President Lai Ching-te continued his series of unity talks over the weekend, emphasizing the people's role in protecting Taiwan's democracy. But opposition parties accuse him of trying to drum up support for the upcoming recall votes. Irene Lin has this story.
The power of the people. That was the emphasis of President Lai Ching-te's weekend speeches to the nation and his own Democratic Progressive Party.
那今年2024年的青鸟行动，或者是2025年的大罢免行动，其实都是同样台湾社会珍贵的公民力量，目的是在维护国家秩序，阻止共产党并吞，守护国家。
Lai's mention of the mass recall movement has been a recurring theme in his recent public addresses. The president has planned 10 so-called unity speeches as partisan divide continues to grow due to an unprecedented lawmaker recall movement. So far, at least 24 lawmakers from the opposition Kuomintang are set to face a recall vote in July. In his latest speech, Lai accuses the opposition, which controls the legislature, of violating the Constitution.
当然，咱拢知影，国内政局上界大挑战的所在，有那是立法院啦。过半数的在野联盟，不只是开会无照议事规则，通过法律违反宪法，更加大大煽动冻结中央政府总预算，影响政府的运作、国家的进步。
The smaller opposition Taiwan People's Party, which has partnered with the KMT on multiple reform bills, says Lai's support for lawmaker recalls has been clear in his unity talks.
过去承诺给台湾人民要推动的改革法案，最后竟然都是在野党，我们携手合作把它推动完成的。那至于大罢免，从头到尾本来就是民进党发动的。柯建铭已经讲得很露骨了，我想赖清德总统终于也不再扭捏作态。
The KMT has also reacted to Lai's unity speech, calling on its supporters to vote no on the recalls.
他一再的说，没有人可以主导大罢免。我想要呼吁所有在前面观看直播的好朋友，我们才真的需要用更大的民意，在7月26号那一天，用具体的行动出来投下不同意罢免的这个票。我们一定要一起告诉赖清德总统，什么才是真正更大的民意。
With both the ruling and opposition parties gearing up for the recall votes on July 26, the remaining 7 unity speeches will be a true test of Lai's ability to de-escalate the worsening political divide. Joseph Wu and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
The Taipei District Court has sentenced a Taiwanese diabolo coach convicted of spying for China to over a decade in prison. Liu Jixian pleaded guilty to accepting some $195,000 from China. He used that money to lure Taiwanese military personnel and other nationals into a spy ring tasked with leaking military secrets to Chinese organizations in Taiwan. 9 of Liu's accomplices have also been found guilty. Hong Kong's last major pro-democracy party is disbanding. The group cited heavy political pressure in the city, where democracy movements have been stifled by national security laws. Tiffany Wong reports.
零化非灰，
零化非灰，
不作浮塵，
不作浮塵，
沒有抗爭，
沒有抗爭，
哪有改變？
哪有改變？
A farewell for Hong Kong's last active major pro-democracy party. The chair of the League of Social Democrats announces the end of a key symbol of Hong Kong's democracy movement, the latest to be shuttered due to China's increasing control of the city.
Struggling forward through hardships for the last few years, we have now reached the end of the road. The path ahead is fraught with difficulties. As an organization, the League of Social Democrats must bow out from the stage of Hong Kong's social movement history.
The League is the third major opposition party to shut down in Hong Kong in the past 2 years. Pro-democracy activity in the city has been stifled since a national security law was imposed by Beijing in 2020 after large-scale anti-government protests. Those rules were expanded last year, spurring fears for the safety of party members. The League of Social Democrats was founded by Chan's husband, former lawmaker Leung Kwok-hung, in 2006. The party was known for its radical pro-democracy views and aggressive tactics. Last year, Leung was sentenced to almost 7 years in prison as part of a trial of 47 pro-democracy advocates under national security law charges. As the party officially disbands, the prospect of democracy in Hong Kong dims. Scott Huang and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
For more on what's happened in the 5 years under the national security law and on the League of Social Democrats disbanding, Alec McDonald spoke to Michael Mo, a former Hong Kong district councillor.
Michael, can you talk a little bit about the importance of the Social Democrats and what this party meant to Hong Kongers?
So the League of Social Democrats is launched back in 2006. It was the time which the Hong Kong pro-democracy movement, shortly after they launched a 500,000 turnout of a large-scale protest against the Article 23, the very first national security law legislation. And their positioning is also unique, pretty much filling up the political spectrum that is actually vacant back in that time, namely economically left, radical street actions, and also legal front to challenge draconian laws that is being left out by the British and being picked up by Beijing to harass or intimidate any democracy campaigners back in the time.
So why have the Social Democrats decided to disband 19 years after their founding?
I think one of the reasons is that they are still one of the few pro-democracy parties, which is of course being ousted from any form of participation in politics in Hong Kong, are still demonstrating on the streets, whether it is like a few people having a street fundraising stores or having a petition at the government headquarters. They're still looking defiant. Having said that, it also caught the attention of the Hong Kong authorities and pro-Beijing pretty much informers' eyes and informed them. And I think this is one of the reasons they have been notified that some of the speech in the recent years in those like street canvassing or outside of the government headquarters were actually touch or cross the so-called red line, and then facing these immense pressure from the Hong Kong authorities. I think this is why they pretty much disband at this point of time.
In light of many of the pro-democracy parties in Hong Kong disbanding, can you reflect a little bit upon the national security law 5 years on?
So since the national security law enacted in 2020 effectively bypassed the city's legislature, the Hong Kong authorities pretty much use the power they're pretty much being authorized to, whether one was said is illegal or not, to harass, intimidate, arrest, prosecute pro-democracy campaigners, lawmakers all over the place. And also, so in the first few years, we've seen that the Hong Kong authorities really ran after the high-profile activists, and also those for democracy district councillors as well, myself included. So during the first few years, we've seen over 75 political parties, civil society groups, media, including Apple Daily, and labor unions disbanded or ordered to be disbanded. So it's really been a very dire scene ever since.
What lessons are there in this for Taiwan?
So I think to the world, not only Taiwan, it shows that if the Beijing took over a sovereignty of a certain place, they would go wherever they like to make a firm grip on this place, and there's no respect of whatever rule of law, democracy, freedoms, all the things that they guaranteed before they take over the sovereignty. So I think its particular profound lesson to Taiwan is that whatever Beijing promised to them, it seems they would pretty much default it by default.
That was Michael Mo, former district councillor in Hong Kong. Indigenous communities in eastern Taiwan are using their traditional gardening techniques to preserve local biodiversity. Xiaoliuqiu looks at how.
In remote parts of Hualien in eastern Taiwan, indigenous Bunong communities are keeping a special tradition alive, called Pisang Lavan, or family garden. It's a form of home gardening that helps preserve rare and diverse bean varieties.
从小就是有吃，尤其是我们煮小米的时候啊，还是要做什么，这个豆类一定都有。
In Pisang Lavan, some beans are grown along the edges of farmlands, while others are planted near homes. In 2014, when the Cixing Organic Agriculture Foundation began helping farmers switch to organic practices, they unexpectedly uncovered over 20 rare and ancient bean varieties thriving in these backyard gardens.
这么久以前的种子，然后一代一代一直还有人在种，然后持续的更新它的活性，然后让它在土壤里面生存，记忆每一天的太阳，每一天的雨。
To keep the knowledge of how to grow these beans, they set up the Bunong Bean Group, aiming to pass down the community's agricultural wisdom. Conservation takes place directly in the fields, with replanting every year, but modernization is threatening their efforts.
年轻人现在有的都是还在外面工作，就是怕说他们不肯做啊，不肯种这些啊，这个一定要种才有成果啊，你没有种下去，它怎么会有？
Members of the Bunong Bean Group remain hopeful that their agricultural know-how and traditions can be handed down to younger generations. Much like the beans they cultivate, the tradition will take root in everyday life, flourishing for years to come. Alex Chen and Xiaoliuqiu for TaiwanPlus.
Stay tuned to TaiwanPlus News, because coming up after the break...
这个叫入社啊，这个还算中的啊，来。
We take you to Xiaoliuqiu Island off Taiwan's southwest coast, where locals are helping land crabs return to the seaside during their breeding season. Stay tuned.
This month's top hits on TaiwanPlus. Discover how a Taiwanese protest song triggered censorship in China.
哇，那个星云，啊，这样看得好清楚。对，猎户座大星云。
Dive into the stars through a stargazer's eyes.
宇宙大到让人超乎想象。
Learn Mandarin the Taiwanese way through real-life phrases with local flavor.
可以说什么？饭餐、烧饼、先生。
Hear stories of 3 indigenous battles buried for a century. Vibrant and original programs exclusively on TaiwanPlus. Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
Wow, this is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Taiwan and the United Kingdom have signed a landmark trade deal in Taipei. The three-pillar agreement includes strengthening digital trade, energy cooperation, and investment opportunities. It was signed by the UK's representative at the British office Taipei and by Taiwan's representative to the UK. British Trade Minister Douglas Alexander attended the signing, and on Monday, Alexander also met with President Lai Ching-te at the presidential office. Taiwan and the U.S. have wrapped up a second round of in-person tariff negotiations in Washington, D.C. Vice Premier Zeng Li-jun and Chief Trade Negotiator Yang Zhen-ni represented Taiwan at the two-day talks, meeting with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. The cabinet praised the progress of discussions, saying the two sides reached consensus on a number of economic and trade issues. Taiwan faces U.S. tariffs of 32% on most of its goods. But economists here say that the country should be able to negotiate that number down to between 15 and 25%. U.S. President Donald Trump says he won't extend his pause on global tariffs set to expire on July 9th.
But we're going to be sending letters out starting pretty soon. No, we don't have to meet. We understand. We have all the numbers. Listen, what we're going to do is we're going to send, and we're going to say, congratulations, we're allowing you to shop in the United States of America. You're going to pay a 25% tariff or a 35% or 50% or 10%.
Last week, the White House spokesperson hinted that the deadline could be extended. But in an interview with Fox News Channel's Sunday Morning Futures, Trump said he doesn't think he'll need to do so. U.S. trade officials say deals with key partners are almost done, with others expected to be complete by early September. On one of Taiwan's outlying islands, the land crab breeding season is in full swing. Locals have been working together to help the crabs reach their seaside breeding grounds safely. A team from TaiwanPlus visited the island to learn more.
Xiaoliuqiu, a small island off the southwestern coast of Taiwan, is known for its abundant sea turtles, clear waters, and vibrant coral reefs. But when night falls in the summer, the island comes alive in a different way, with some interesting creatures crawling into view.
来，这是母的，哦，哎，对啊，这个叫入色啊，这个还算中的啊，来。哦，好快哦！
The tiny island is just 6.8 square kilometers, but is home to about 20 species of land crabs, with the most numerous being the purple land crab. Their breeding season starts with the rainy season. From June to October, during the last quarter of the moon, female crabs head to the shore to release their eggs, sometimes even from coral rocks. A crab expert says these creatures help connect life on land and in the sea.
它其实最主要的食物其实是植物的枯枝落叶，它是能够那个分解纤维素的，所以它基本上它确实是有扮演分解者的角色，所以在有陆蟹生存的生态体系，它的物质循环是非常快的，但是有陆蟹存在，养分循环会加快，那就会让这个生态体系是生产力非常高生产力的一个生态体系。
But their nighttime journey to and from the seaside is fraught with danger.
超过1万只的后代就这样没了。
Since May, local volunteers have been raising awareness about crabs on the roads at night.
会有螃蟹，要慢慢放。
今天怎么这么多啊？画到我的粉笔都快没了。
These volunteers patrol the island's ring road and share their passion for land crabs with visitors.
他只有在小时候住在海里，然后长大就到陆地上来了。
哦，是哦。那他知道路吗？
哦，当然知道啊。
我只是说小 baby 哎。
当然知道啊。
他长大知道路上去。
通常会跟着水走。
哦。
Part of the volunteers' efforts is counting how many crabs get hit on the road. In June alone, over 800 crabs were killed.
它这个都有抱卵的呢。
During the crab breeding season, Wang Tianzheng, a native of Xiaoliuqiu, spends 1 to 2 hours every morning conducting roadkill surveys around the island.
对螃蟹非常有感情啊！看到它们被压死的时候，我就会想说它很可怜，我能够用我什么样的方法可以帮助它？那另外一种心情的话是开心的，因为小琉球呢岛上呢还有这么多的陆蟹资源可以让你压死。
Volunteers spread the word by putting up signs and handing out crab stickers to local shops. This year, a crab corridor was built to help land crabs across the road safely. The locals hope to take it a step further by closing one section of the road to protect the crabs, and they've received support from the government.
我们真的就是需要把小琉球现存的好的栖地环境，我想。 不只是陆蟹的栖地环境啊，就是各种海洋生物的栖地环境都把它保育下来，各种生物都活得很好。我想小琉球的观光发展未来才会更好。
Protecting land crabs isn't just about saving one species. It's about preserving a key component of the local ecosystem and creating a better environment for everyone. Peachy Zhuang and Ni Chiang-huai for TaiwanPlus.
A large collection of works by one of Taiwan's earliest watercolor artists is now on display at the Taipei Fine Arts Museum. Known for his depictions of everyday life in Taiwan during the Japanese colonial era, the artist's legacy resonates to the present day. Izzy Wells has more.
These depictions of everyday life and urban landscapes during Taiwan's Japanese colonial era were brought to life by the brush of watercolor artist Ni Chiang-huai. He's known as a pioneer of the medium in Taiwan. And after years of restoration and research, one of the most extensive presentations of his works is now open to the public.
那这个展览的缘起就要追溯到2023年一个名为“时空胶囊”的捐赠案。当时尼家的后代捐赠了大批作品给北美馆，那总数将近500件，是我们馆史上面在40年的馆史上面史无前例的。
Born in 1894, Ni was the first Taiwanese student of Japanese painter Ishikawa Kenichiro, who first introduced him to watercolors. But faced with the financial realities of pursuing a life in the arts, Ni decided to embark on a career in the mining industry instead. Still, he never stopped painting.
因为他自己本身有在同时经营矿业，其实已经占据他相当多的时间了。可是他自己还是勤于创作，就对艺术他无法割舍，所以他也一直在从事创作。那他老实说，他也没有多少时间，所以他的风格或者说他的画法来讲，他都是以他周遭的生活场景譬如说他工作的一个场景，他的矿场，或者是他居住他的居所，他居住的所在地基隆，那么他在 描绘基隆的一些城市的景观。
And those daily scenes, including Taiwan's mines in the harbours of Geelong, are celebrated not only for their artistic beauty, but also as rich historical records of their time. Like the stamps on some works like this one, showing the seal of approval by inspections from Geelong Fortress Command, a reminder of the oversight of the Japanese military at the time. Also among the vast materials donated were the artist's personal diaries, in which he detailed his dream of having his own gallery, the Baofeng Art Museum, which has been brought to life here, complete with a free admission sign and a library, just as he had envisaged in his notes. And although it didn't materialize in his lifetime, visitors can walk through it today as part of the journey through his evolution.
觉得这个展很棒的地方是它
让我们认识从一个台湾画家他对于整个水彩画的整个发展的状况。然后我觉得他的画作里面对于不管是台湾的景点或者是国外的景点，他的画都呈现出一个让人家觉得很细腻、很舒服的一个色调，这样子。
And that delicate style admired by visitors today is only part of Ni's legacy. The artist remained deeply committed to nurturing and developing Taiwan's art scene, from his participation in Taiwan's Watercolor Society to founding the Taiwan Painting Institute, mentoring younger artists. And as visitors moved through the exhibition, they witnessed not just the evolution of his technique, but the enduring impact he left on Taiwanese art. More than 80 years after his passing, Ni's brushstrokes still colour Taiwan's modern art history, a testament to a mining entrepreneur who never gave up on his passion for painting. Kamashu and Izzy Wells for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan has bagged multiple medals at the 2025 World Police and Fire Games in Alabama, an Olympic-style competition for first responders from around the world. Team Taiwan earned 5 gold, 6 silver, and 3 bronze medals in events including table tennis, jiu-jitsu, and ultimate firefighter. This year, Taiwan was represented by 21 police officers and 39 firefighters, competing alongside nearly 10,000 emergency responders from more than 70 countries. The games are scheduled to wrap up on July 6th. And thank you for joining us this evening on TaiwanPlus News. Follow us on social media to get updates from us in your feed. Finally, let's take a look at Pride parades across the world as Pride Month wraps up. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. We'll see you next time.